Brendan Schaub, former UFC heavyweight and current stand-up comedian and podcaster, is no stranger to airing his opinions on what's going down in the UFC, and he has recently been talking about a potential matchup between two of the promotion's most popular fighters at the moment, Khamzat Chimaev and Nate Diaz. Today, we're discussing Schaub's insistence that Nate isn't scared of Khamzat, plus his other dream matchups, so stay right where you are. First up, let's have a look at Schaub's UFC career. Of course, anyone who airs their opinions in public has to really be in a position to know what they're talking about, and Brendan Schaub is more qualified than most. And after starting his career as an amateur boxer, he quickly found MMA. He began his professional career back in 2008 with 4 straight wins in the ROF and UWC promotions before being poached for the UFC's heavyweight division. He took part in The Ultimate Fighter Heavyweight's finale against Roy Nelson, but lost the fight via knockout in the first round, which is no disgrace when you look at some of the people Big Country has starched over the years. Schaub impressed over his next 4 fights, recording 4 wins in a row, including a decision win over Gabriel Gonzaga and a one-punch knockout of the night against legendary fighter Mirko Cro Cop. However, he lost the next 2 fights against Big Nog and Ben Rothwell before turning it around and winning his next 2. Unfortunately for Schaub, he took a lot of punishment in his last 2 fights against Andrei Arlovski and Travis Brown and was persuaded by Joe Rogan and other friends to hang up the gloves for good to stop him from receiving injuries he might not walk away from further down the line. What did you guys make of Schaub's career? So what did he have to say about Diaz and Khamzat? Stay tuned to hear all about it. Of course, Schaub regularly discusses UFC bouts on his own podcast, as well as Joe Rogan's as a regular guest, and the former Ultimate Fighter contestant has revealed that he thinks Nate Diaz would be up for a scrap against Khamzat Chimaev. After a matchup board was recently leaked, which suggested the pair might be about to step in the octagon together, Schaub said the younger Diaz brother would fight anybody, explaining that both Diaz brothers do not care and will fight anyone, before saying that Diaz isn't scared of Khamzat. But following Michael Chandler's recent omission that cutting to 55 isn't healthy for a guy who is 36, Schaub went on to suggest that the Diaz versus Chandler fight would be the one to make. He said, "What about Chandler Diaz? You're open to Chandler McGregor. What happens if he beats Nate? Then you give Chandler McGregor next year when he is ready to go. So you're squeezing the juice of these 2 superstars." Michael Chandler is of course riding the crest of a wave at the moment after his highlight reel knockout of Tony Ferguson a couple weeks back, and Schaub clearly believes now is the time for the UFC to cash in on the former Bellator champion's popularity. And following Diaz's recent tweet, which reads July 30th, 170 pounds, which most people thought was directed at Conor McGregor, Schaub says he thinks it was aimed at Chandler. Who do you have if this one goes down? Some more Nate Diaz news now, and Dustin Poirier is not happy. Former lightweight interim champ Poirier has a bone to pick with Nate Diaz and has suggested that he's agreed to fight the younger Diaz twice already this year, but so far nothing has materialized. Poirier was choked out in his title fight with Charles Oliveira back in December and wanted a quick turnaround, but even with both of them appearing to agree to a scrap, the UFC have refused to make it as of yet, and as such, some people have suggested they are waiting for Conor McGregor to return to full fitness to get the Diaz trilogy fight sometime towards the end of the summer. However, Diaz is perpetually beefing with the UFC and has even suggested he wants to leave the promotion on multiple occasions, even claiming he could be set to take on Jake Paul in a boxing fight. And Poirier, appearing on Ariel Helwani's MMA Hour podcast earlier this week, said, "Bro, this fight has been offered to me twice already this year, and I've accepted both times. It's not like I'm chasing this guy. Don't call my phone and ask to fight the guy. Maybe he can't get a deal done. On my side, I've accepted twice this year, 2022. I know as much as everyone else knows. I know he has 1 fight left. They offered him Chimaev, I don't know." And as it appears Poirier's days at 155 are done, it seems as though he is more than eager to fight Diaz at 170. Who do you guys have if this one goes down? And Poirier has also spoken about Michael Chandler too. Stay tuned. Whilst Chandler recently poured cold water on the idea of fighting the Diamond, thanks to a perceived slight on him when he first joined the UFC, Dustin has claimed he would be down to scrap. Of course, Chandler recently destroyed Tony Ferguson in one of the most violent knockouts in UFC history. He told Ariel Helwani how although he loves his hot sauce, Poirier disregarded him when he first came over from Bellator. And Poirier has been looking for a fight since he was submitted by Oliveira back in December, to little success so far. He has called out the likes of Nate Diaz, Colby Covington, and now Chandler in a bid to stay active. And the Louisianan said he's, Chandler, never beaten anybody coming off a win in the UFC. He's been dropped in his last 3 fights. He's never beat somebody coming off a win. What are Dan Hooker's last 5 fights? And what are Tony Ferguson's last 5 fights? The 2 guys he beat in the UFC. What are their records in their last fights? Poirier then suggested that he was only speaking the truth before claiming that somebody's gonna get sparked out. Poirier has really turned his career around in the past few years and has only suffered defeat twice in the past 5.5 years, both times in title fights. Who do you think Poirier should fight next? Let us know below. We're talking about Conor's latest boxing video now. Stick around. As we all well know, McGregor loves to update his fans with little snippets of his training regimes, and this past weekend was no different. And following his upload, which was accompanied with a pretty cheesy caption, which read, "The McGregor bows and arrows, I'm calling these," in association with Bruce Lee. Enjoy, King of Cheese himself, Henry Cejudo, has responded. And Cejudo, who regularly attempts to troll McGregor but usually just comes off sounding a bit silly, attempted to give the Notorious a few pointers when he said, Too much wind telegraphs what you're doing, which makes it not believable. Half punch the front hand to disguise the backhand. It's not about the combination, but how you hide everything with a big surprise. Sincerely the GOAT, Humble Henry." We're still trying to figure out that first part, if truth be told. Cejudo has himself recently re-entered the USADA pool, but given the fact he most recently fought at flyweight, a potential matchup between these two appears unlikely, especially given McGregor's new bulky frame. And Conor, who himself likes to call out anybody and everybody, has suggested he could, in fact, return at welterweight, which, given his new physique, would probably make sense. What do you guys make of his recent uploads? And finally, a recent Nick Maximoff comment comes back to haunt him. Stay with us. Maximoff appeared for his third UFC outing over the past weekend, losing to Andre Petroski via Anaconda choke, and having branded Khamzat Chimaev a fool in the build-up to his bout last weekend. It was actually him who came off looking slightly silly following the loss. He said in regards to Khamzat, "Yeah, I'm down to fight that fool. I don't know why everyone is tripping so hard. Everyone in the UFC is good though, so I am down with it." But of course, Maximoff's potential bout with Chimaev was cut short before it really gained any traction, as he suffered a pretty demoralizing submission loss against the Ultimate Fighter alum Andre Petroski. He will now have to go again to climb up the ranks, let alone fight Chimaev, who will only really be looking at the 3 or 4 guys ahead of him in the rankings. And following the loss to Petroski, MMA fans had a field day with Maximoff's pre-fight words, turning the Diaz affiliate fighter into a meme. One fan pointed out that it is in fact called mixed martial arts, before suggesting that fighters should be well-rounded all over the octagon, whilst another fan suggested Maximoff's biggest accomplishment will be being friends with the Diaz brothers. Pretty disrespectful. What do you guys think? As always, thank you for dropping by today, and remember to join us next time for some more fun and games. And don't forget to share today's video with any MMA fans, whilst also subscribing to our channel so you don't miss out on more great content in the future. Bye guys!